Today we are taking a look at this tank of a CNC machine right here, the Sainsmart Genmitsu PROVerXL 2x2, without a doubt their most rigid machine on the market. This thing is really pushing the limits of hobby CNC. So let's take a closer look at it and I'll give you my thoughts on it. So as usual, I will give you some information about the machine, its specifications and what you get with it, before moving on to my experience with it a little later in the video. Now, as the name would suggest, 2x2, this does have a cutting area of around 2 foot by 2 foot. In fact, it's a little bit bigger than that. 680 millimeters by 680 millimeters, so 26.7 inches by 26.7 inches. I think that does include a little bit of overhang on the front, so the actual base cutting area is a little bit less. But the joys of that overhang does mean that you can clamp things to the front to machine the top of them. What I mean by that is if you have something like a deep serving board and you want to engrave the edge of that, well, you could pull the machine to the front of the base, clamp it straight to the front, and then engrave the top of that with something like a name or a message. So that overhang does have a very useful benefit. In terms of the Z travel on this is 113 millimeters, which I think is 4.4 inches. Always trying to remember all of these measurements. So you do get a really big work area to start with on this machine. Now, in terms of the footprint that you would need for this machine, it is 120 centimeters wide, 115 centimeters deep, and about 63 centimeters on the height. I will put the inches up on screen just for ease, save me trying to do it all from memory. So straight off the bat, good sized machine with a great work area, allowing you to do a wide variety of projects. But that's not the selling point of this machine. It is all about the hardware and the frame. Straight away in the background there, you can see dual linear rails on the X-axis. This is also the same for the Z assembly as well. These are HG 15 linear rails, so great support coming from them. But actually on the Y-axis, these are 22 millimeter thick linear rails, nearly an inch thick. The support and strength from those is crazy. Now, these are all running on ball screws. There's a 20 millimeter ball screws driving all the axes. So as well as the support and rigidity, you've also got the smooth flow action of the ball screw drives. And these are all being driven by closed loop NEMA 23 stepper motors. Now, if you're not familiar with the difference between open and closed loop stepper motors, closed loop basically feed back to the machine as it is cutting. So it can detect if it's missteps or done something wrong. It can even pause the job itself and stop the machine to avoid making any more mistakes or causing damage. And it can also detect when there is a bit too much pressure going on the machine itself. So when you are comparing open and closed loop stepper motors, well, closed loop stepper motors are superior by far, and those are always the ones you want to try and go with. So in terms of a shopping list for a CNC machine, this ticks the three main boxes: linear rails, ball screws, and closed loop stepper motors. Now, all that is being held in place with good, solid, chunky, extruded aluminium framework and thick end plates pinching all this together. And when you combine all of that hardware, it just basically means that you are going to have a rock-solid CNC machine to get going with straight away. Now, let me show you something that is pretty cool to me. This is the first test cut I did on this machine. It's basically a feeds and speeds grid. It gets faster with each column and deeper with each row. And it really allows you to see what your machine is capable of, as well as the bit you are using. Now, okay, it is fairly simple, but to create these traditionally in CAD/CAM software, it takes quite a bit of time. Now, when I launched Only CNCs last year, its purpose was about helping people improve their settings for feeds and speeds, and it's all free. Now, one thing I wanted to do was find an easier way to generate these grids, and that is exactly what I have done. I have now created a program that generates these for people in seconds, even giving you all the G code ready to run on your machine. So if you are struggling with feeds and speeds, obviously definitely head over to Only CNCs, sign up, it's all completely free, and you will be able to have access to this program very soon when it launches in the near future. So let's move on from the base hardware, because there are a few additional things as standard included with this machine. The first one is pretty obvious, that right there, the 710 watt variable speed trim router. I think this has an RPM range of around 8 to 32,000 RPM, so a good wide range there for you to be able to do different types of materials. If I get that RPM range wrong, I will put the correct one up on screen now. Now, the irony of this situation is I've been pushing the desktop manufacturers to include trim routers as standard because the smaller 60 or 300 watt normal spindles are quite underpowered. So it was great to see this included as standard. But when I say the irony, this machine is so powerful and strong that actually this trim router now feels underpowered in this setup. You can easily get away with a 1.5 or 2.2 kilowatt spindle on this machine, and it will handle it like a breeze and probably go through anything like butter, including metal. Now, I will just clarify that point because it sounds like I was asking for an upgrade and then moaning about it when I started doing it. The power in those trim routers are more than sufficient for most people. It's still going to do all of the materials that you would expect. The main benefits of the upgraded spindles I was talking about is usually obviously additional power so you can go deeper and faster. They also often run quieter as well, so it just makes your work environment a bit better to be in. And in some cases, they can run cooler as well, so extended life from them. So that is a great starting point, but as I say, this is more than capable of handling those upgraded spindles. Really minor thing, but something that I genuinely love, the trim router connects directly into the control box itself. What this means is it will turn on and off when your job starts and finishes. Now, often you need to put things like smart relays in place in order to do this, but the fact that that is inbuilt makes your life much easier. You don't have to think, have I turned it on, run back and forth, switch things on and off. As I say, just a really nice feature, simple feature, but it makes your life so much easier. Another thing is the hybrid bed running along the bottom here. Now, a hybrid bed is basically a mixture of aluminium plates with MDF on top. This gives you the strength and support from the aluminium, but also the softness from the MDF should you run into it by accident. And there are obviously inbuilt T-tracks as part of this, giving you a great flexibility with clamping systems. Now, underneath that as well, it is reinforced by the frame, minimizing any sag from it. The one thing I will just point out is whilst this does have MDF on it, you should still create your own spoil board to sit on top, as you can see that I've done here. Most people assume the MDF is the spoil board. You really need to create a separate one that is interchangeable. I promise you, for the small amount of time it takes, it will make your life much easier and better and get you better results. Now, another addition that is not entirely obvious is induction limit switches. You'll just see these pins on either end of the x-axis, and this is a bit of a giveaway. Now, traditionally, they would use contact limit switches, and the problem is with these, they would physically have to hit something in order to tell the machine to stop. The problem is, as the machines have got stronger, faster, and more rigid, you can move them about much quicker. And if you hit those limit switches at force, well, it will break and damage them, and then replacing them just becomes a pain. Now, with the induction limit switches, there's basically no contact. The pin is there, the sensor will come over it, detect it, and pause the machine. So it is much better overall. On top of that, they are usually considered to be faster responding and also a bit more accurate. So it's a really big improvement in terms of limit switches to go from the contact ones to the induction ones. And these are included on all of the axes. There's something that is not so visually obvious is this right here. They also provide you with their Wi-Fi module as standard with this machine. What this basically means is that you can run this machine as normal connected to your PC using monitors, or you can run it from something like your phone or a tablet. Now, in the past, obviously, people used to use things like small offline controllers, really clunky to use, small screens, you can never really see what you were doing. As I say, this allows you to run it from your phone. You can upload files, run them on it, and it just makes life much easier, much smoother when you are trying to run this type of CNC machine without a computer connected to it. So the fact that they include this as standard with the machine does give you a few different options as to how you actually run the machine when you get it. Now, in terms of receiving your machine and setting it up, well, one of the nice things about this, it does arrive all in one box. And that may sound silly. You often see a lot of complaints on CNC groups about like 2 boxes arriving and 1 is missing, so they can't start building it. Because it all arrives in one, it just gives you that bit of comfort to know that everything is there when it does come. I will point out it is a very heavy box. You will need a second pair of hands should you need to move it. Now, when it comes to actually unboxing and getting it built, it is fairly straightforward and the instructions are pretty clear. There is a link up in the corner to the build video I did for the machine if you are interested. One thing I will point out though, again on the weight, some of the components are obviously quite heavy, in particular the X-axis gantry. Now, whilst I did manage to just about assemble it on my own, it would have been easy with a second pair of hands to help me put some things in place. So something to take into account. Pretty simple to set up, but an extra pair of hands will make life much easier. Now, taking a look at software, if you've seen any of my Sainsmart reviews before, it's a fairly standard story here. You can use the most common piece of software out there for this machine. Looking at the design side of things first, the digital creation of your files and toolpaths, where you can use the most common piece of software such as Carveco Maker, Vectric VCarve, Easel and Fusion. These are all output files ready for this machine. Now, if you are new to CNC, picking the right design software is often one of the biggest challenges that people face. I do truly believe that Carveco Maker is the best value for money on the market. It offers a well-rounded package of great tools with brilliant features to do all the most common things that you want, such as V-carves, inlays, 3D reliefs, even rotary work. If you are looking, then do check out the 90-day free trial link in the description area below. And if you want to get up to speed as quick as possible with that software, head over to Carveco Academy and check out our Jumpstarter course. This will literally take you from zero knowledge and experience to a confident user in a matter of hours with a straightforward flow system of videos to go through. And looking at the opposite side of that, the physical control of the machine, moving it about and actually machining your job out. Again, all the most common software out there can work with this, such as GSender, UGS, Candle. Now, I will mention these control pieces of software are all free as well and openly available, so that does make running the machine very easy. Let's talk about accuracy and repeatability because it's a topic people always want to know. Well, the results on screen that I'm showing you at the moment speak for themselves. The accuracy of this machine is rated to, I think it's 1 or 200ths of a millimeter, and it does live up to that. I personally don't need to do anything more accurate than that. It ticks all the boxes for me. And in terms of repeatability, again, because of the linear rails, because of the ball screws, you're getting that accuracy and repeatability from the machine, regardless of whether you're doing small jobs or big jobs. It is going to be there consistently throughout your projects. So on to my actual experience with the machine. Now, throughout the video, I've been showing you clips of projects, tests, different types of cuts that I've been doing with different materials and different bits. It's honestly been a pleasure to use. I've got some beautiful, great quality results straight off this machine. And this is all due to what I've touched on several times, the strength and the rigidity of the overall frame and hardware on this machine. You really can produce some beautiful results from this, even for beginners, because that strength and rigidity just minimizes the things that can go wrong with jobs, some of the flexibility you might get on other machines. So it really is a tank, like I said at the start of the video. Big, solid, strong machine. Now, in terms of things that could be improved with it, one small issue I did notice, it sounded like the trim rotor was getting a bit bogged down a couple of times, especially when I was trying to push it harder. Now, I think it's meant to have a feature in it that it detects when it's getting bogged down. It's meant to pick the RPM up. I'm not 100% sure that was working perfectly because I had to basically increase the speed of the RPM while it was cutting to try and get it back to the way it was sounding before it got bogged down. So that is one small thing I have noticed. Really tiny thing that bugs me. There's no power switch on the front of the control box. Now, as silly as that sounds, the power switch to turn it on and off is at the back of the control box, and you have to keep reaching over to turn it on and off. It would have been really nice just to put a very simple on and off switch button somewhere that was a bit more accessible on the control box. Petty as that sounds, I know, but it is all about the user experience, and it's my responsibility to highlight things like that. So let's move on and talk about the price, because for a lot of people, it's the biggest deciding factor when they're purchasing a machine. Now, at the point of recording this video, this is just over $2,300 US, or around 1,750 British pounds. It is worth highlighting the RRP is just under $2,900, but let's be honest, more often than not, there are always sales and voucher codes being used throughout the year. Now, in terms of that price and who is this machine for, well, this is the point that I'll start getting a lot of comments where people go, for that price, you could get this machine, which is much bigger. 100% true. And as the consumer, I would always encourage you to look at all the machines within your budget range. But do take into account what you get for that money, not just the size of the machine. In this scenario, obviously, again, all the great hardware that we have already covered. And this is essentially a complete package ready to go, targeted at new people, beginners that want to get up and running very quickly. So it's not just the overall hardware, it's obviously the bed as well, the router, the clamps, the Wi-Fi module, and all the other bits of accessories that go along with it, as well as being partially built to help make assembly much quicker. Now, with the frame and everything that goes along with that, with the hardware, it is ideal for people wanting to do small and medium-sized projects of very high quality in all your different types of materials, like your hardwoods, softwoods, plastics, acrylics, composites, as well as things like soft metal, your brasses, aluminiums, and copper. So this is really more about the quality of the jobs you want to achieve than necessarily large-scale jobs. So do take all that into account when you are looking for your CNC machine. So going full circle, I'll say it again as I said at the start, this is a tank of a machine. It is a heavyweight, solid, rigid build, and literally the best machine that Sainsmart have made to date. Now, if you are looking to purchase this, there will be some links in the description area below that will always take you to the best available price, so definitely go and check those out. Obviously, if you have any questions about the machine, let me know in the comments section. I will always do my best to answer. Hope you found the video useful. Thank you all very much for watching. Final thanks as always goes to my patrons. I appreciate all the support I get from you. I'll see everybody on the next episode.